Picture this, a gang of thieves, the world-famous Louvre Museum, and a jewel heist worth millions of euros. And they pulled it all off in broad daylight in less than 5 minutes. So in this explainer, we're going to break down one of the most audacious robberies in recent memory and figure out just how they did it. You know, this quote from an art recovery expert really hits the nail on the head. It gets right to the heart of the mystery here. So what's the deal? Were these guys criminal masterminds who planned a brilliant operation? Or were they just a bunch of clumsy amateurs who got incredibly lucky? Let's find out. All right, so let's set the scene. We're talking about a busy Sunday morning at the Louvre in Paris. You know, only the most visited museum on the entire planet. The place is packed with people, security patrols are making their rounds, and yet, this is the exact moment the thieves decided to make their move. So what's the most shocking part of this whole thing? The speed. I mean, just look at this timeline. At 9:34 a.m., they're heading up to the first floor. A minute later, literally 60 seconds later, they're already inside the gallery. And by 9:38, poof, they're gone. The whole operation, from the moment they walked in to their escape, was over before security could even really figure out what was going on. Yeah, and if you're picturing some clean, surgical operation, forget it. Surveillance footage actually shows the thieves trying to use an ankle grinder, but it was taking way too long. So what did they do? They just went for sheer, chaotic, brute force. One of the thieves literally started elbowing the glass, while another guy just shoulder-charged a display case like a rugby player. And you can just imagine the shock on the ground, right? A security guard who was right there said it was a very violent commotion. At first, they thought it was just some angry visitor losing their cool. It took them precious seconds to realize what was really going down, and in that time, their main focus was just getting visitors out of there and sealing off the area. So they've smashed their way in, they've snatched the jewels, and they've caused absolute chaos. Okay, but now for the really hard part. Getting out of the world's most famous museum with alarms blaring all over the place. Here's how they pulled it off. And their getaway plan, just as wild as their break-in. They sprint to a window where they'd already stashed a boom lift. One guy doesn't even bother to step on it. He just dives, head first. From there, they lower themselves down to the street, jump on 2 scooters they had waiting, and just speed off, melting into the Paris traffic literally seconds before the police swarmed the scene. So for a couple of days, it really looked like they'd pulled off a clean getaway. A messy robbery, sure, but perfectly timed. But then, the whole story just takes a massive turn. Only 4 days after the heist, bam, French police drop a bombshell. They've made arrests. And just like that, the idea of a flawless crime starts to completely fall apart. So, police nabbed 2 of the 4 guys they think were involved. And get this is the detail that just shatters that whole mastermind theory. One of them was caught at Charles de Gaulle Airport trying to board a regular commercial flight. I mean, come on, trying to fly out of the country's biggest airport just days after a heist like this. That is a total rookie move. Okay, so this brings us right back to the big question we started with. Was this the work of some sophisticated international crew, or something else entirely? Let's break it down. On the one hand, you've got signs of some serious professional planning. The pre-positioned boom lift, bringing power tools, that sub-5-minute timing, that all takes real coordination. But then you look at the execution and it's just incredibly clumsy. They dropped some of the jewels on their way out, they had to resort to smashing things, and the biggest giveaway, one of them gets caught at an airport. It's a total contradiction, right? So while the cops are grilling the suspects, the focus for everyone else shifts to something way more urgent. What's going to happen to the stolen jewels? And believe me, this isn't just about the money. It's about history. All right, first, let's just talk about the money. The estimated value of everything they took is a mind-boggling 100 million euros. That's a huge financial hit for sure. But honestly, that's not even the real tragedy here. Okay, so here's what you've got to understand. For France, for the French people, these jewels are way more than just expensive rocks. They're a piece of their cultural heritage. They're considered priceless. You just can't put a price tag on objects that are part of a nation's history and its identity. And now, with those jewels in the hands of the thieves, these priceless artifacts are in serious, serious danger of disappearing forever. Here's the grim reality of a situation like this. Look, nobody is going to be able to sell these famous jewels as they are. They're just too recognizable, too high profile. The only way for the thieves to actually make money is to destroy them. They'll break the pieces apart, sell off the diamonds one by one, and recut the rare gems until they're totally unrecognizable. It's history, dismantled for cash. So, that leaves us with one final, really urgent question. With 2 suspects now in custody, the clock is absolutely ticking. Can investigators get them to talk and find these treasures before they're shattered into a million anonymous pieces and lost to history forever?